contract do here? Like those small teams, they sign like a monthly.
Monthly?
It's monthly, yeah?
No, Luke had like a 2.5-year contract.
So in 2.5-year contract, when they break it, do they pay their money?
Yeah.
Because
They settle. They give you money just to go away, so that they can try the next solution.
They don't pay you the full thing.
Yeah, you come to an agreement.
because I know Steve Compella got the money something like 3 years later in Platinum Stars.
Good evening and welcome. It's the Front Runner Football Podcast on a Monday, the last one of the month as we get done pretty much with the first month of the year already. So yeah, gents, I hope you all got it out of your system to be wishing everybody you're bumping into a happy new year. It ends in a couple of days' time, but that will bring along with it.
You mean it's not a happy new year anymore?
Well, no. After January, it's just weird.
After the
Chris.
15th of January.
So
It's just weird.
It's just a year, not happy
I know. It'll be like, hey, how are you? Hello, good to see you.
Exactly.
That's all you
I
say.
wish-
Not happy new
There's
year.
got to be a point where you just stop wishing people happy.
Exactly. I think after the first month, it's enough. But so happy New Year, guys, for the last
Happy New
time.
Year.
To my panel of John T. Mark, I've got Christopher Bongo and Mazola Molefe joining me again as we unpack the weekend that was. As far as local football is concerned, Kaizer Chiefs left it late to secure all 3 points. The Buccaneers machine keeps rolling on, but the same could be said maybe for Cape Town City and for Stellenbosch, who found some form now. For Wits, it's domestic football in the foreseeable future for them now. It seems as their CAF journey comes to an end, and we'll also reflect on Mamelodi Sundowns, who are also involved in continental competition. Good evening, gentlemen. Let's start with the game that sees Chiefs still maintain their position at the top of the pile. Very scary almost resolution for them. I mean, I think probably Steve Compella was counting that point, disappointed that it wasn't 3 until he found out it was 0.
Does it
in the
matter
end.
how you win if you win?
It does. Well, I we're gonna get to that. People will say that Chiefs' style of football was stifled for the 90 minutes. They couldn't play their kind of football, and that goal was almost like a set piece. It was a strange one because when that ball got crossed in, there was no one on the man. Right? It felt like a set piece. Nugovic gets there. Manyama takes the scraps. 3 points, guys. They weren't ugly. They're still top of the table. Nothing you guys say here will change the fact that this ugly football of theirs is getting results.
Well, I don't know what ugly football is, but the point is, in English, we keep on saying they let it late.
They left
did-
it late.
No, they didn't. it just happened late. They would have loved to do it.
Of
early.
course, yeah.
Very good result. Listen, this is a championship type of result that you need just when you did not believe it.
Right.
I remember when we were watching English Premier League that the way a team called Chelsea started winning from nowhere. Drogba get a goal here, 1-0. And they went.
You're singing, you're making music to the ears of the two here in studio.
Trying to make it sound like we were lucky. but I mean,
They went on to win. So people say now Mourinho was lucky. No, it was not lucky. It was they played and they won the game.
So Ernst can't be said to be lucky.
Massive 3 points.
His team did the job.
I still say the same attitude has changed in Kaizer Chiefs. They just refuse to lose. And they want this championship. They can smell it. They almost feel it. So it's tough for anybody who plays them.
Is that what you got from their performance? The sense that they feel that they're the heir apparent to the Absa Premiership crown? Or was it just a case of, they're the only ones who didn't stop playing?
I've seen other matches where they left it late and you could see that they wanted it.
And they were turning the screw.
But this one was not one of those. This was the worst game I've seen this season.
Really?
From them?
Not from them. Just
Okay.
in general.
In general, as a game.
As a game, the worst I've seen this season.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And I mean, there might have been worse that I didn't see that
Right.
were on TV
But
or,
for you
or
personally-
not televised. But for me, on TV while watching.
Is Chiefs that good that
It's-
when they have
it's,
a game like this become a bad game?
Yeah,
I don't
was
think
the-
it was about them. It was about arrows
No.
just kind of stifling.
Yeah, I think Arrows stifled them. Chiefs didn't really seem to have a plan B. Although Muleko coming off at halftime and Reeve Frostler coming in, that's not something new either. Ernst, go look at their fixture. How many times has Ernst brought on 2 subs, one
sure.
sub? It's usually the predictable one. It's usually Dumisani Zuma who
Right.
comes off the bench for whoever, Castro, whoever, you know. But this time around, it was a defender. He wanted a more attacking option on the right flank of defense. But in general, I don't know. I mean, Steve obviously had seen the clips from previous games. You know, their last 2-3 games scoring I think 3 or 4 goals. All of them headed goals. He wanted to make sure that he cut off the supply into the box from set pieces, and he did that. But to the detriment of the game, I think, because then Arrows also didn't at home. You know, in a weird position where, you know, it could go either way. Either they try to push for top 8 or they find themselves in the relegation scrap. I think they could have done more as the home team, especially if they had managed to cut off the supply and Chiefs didn't have a plan B. Because look at the game against Leopards. In the second half, Kevin Johnson was able to make sure that they stifled them from them scoring in a similar fashion to their first goal. But Leopards then took the game to Kaizer Chiefs and very nearly very nearly won the game. So, you know, disappointing that Arrows didn't get to do that. But at the same time, like you guys are saying, it's a championship side that, you know, you win ugly sometimes. But although Chiefs had been winning ugly most of the time, but you win ugly, you know. When the season's done in June, we talking about them as champions. We don't remember that. I remember against Golden Arrows.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, what he's saying is true, because Golden Arrow, when you look at the stats, it was very bad. It was very, very bad. Yes, they've got 3 corners and they have 3 offside. Beside that, they did not have a real shot on target.
In terms of like attacking impetus,
off target, they've got 1. So it was quite weak when going forward. If you got Chiefs in this situation, use it better.
I mean, does that not speak to the quality of Chiefs and how Steve Compella looked at them and said, like, as long as they don't score? Because that's essentially what it seemed like he was playing for, is like Mazola says, is that defensively they were resolute, but they didn't couple that with an attacking threat to say, at least let's get 1 goal, so that if anything, Chiefs score and you get a point out of it. The playing for a point led them almost to 0.
Well, they did end up with none. I mean, they very nearly got their point, but that's what they played for, and that's the price you pay when you do that. Is that can happen in the last minute of a game. Emmanuel took his goal very well. Good piece of control and a good finish.
Keeper got fingers on it, but
might have saved it.
In the first volley,
he got it on target, which you know gave him a chance to score, and the goalie didn't do his job that well.
Yeah.
So it's another 3 points. And Manyama's been decisive in quite a few games this season.
Yes.
Highlands Park, he got the winner as well. In the very first game of the season, you go back to that game, the Chiefs again showed resilience. They kept coming back. They didn't give up. They went 3 behind the Bloemfontein Celtic 3 times this season. They have, like Chris was saying, got that resilience about them. Whatever you say about the style of play, they certainly have a spirit there, and they seem determined to get this title. And they're 100% in pole position to do it. It's a very long way from over. I know they've got to play Wits twice. They've got to play Sundowns again. They've got to play Pirates again. Anything can happen. Wits now, as you mentioned at the start of the programme, only have that really to concentrate on now.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Nedbank Cup against Pirates, obviously. But I think that now they've got to just, I think they've got the right mentality. Though they're the last people to say we've won the title. So they're in a very, really, really good position, and
okay,
definitely favourites by a mile at the moment.
Let's see if they can keep, at the top and not let the pressure get to them as we focus on a SuperSport United side who, for all their consistent inconsistency, when they do get it on, they do it quite convincingly in this game here. 3-0. Bradley Grobler on the eve of his birthday getting a brace for himself, one penalty and one from open play. I mean, he could have had another. He probably could have had a hat-trick on the night. There was one where it was ruled offside, but upon the replay, you actually see that he was not offside.
How many of those have we had this
season? Exactly, but a good win. I mean, here's a man in his peak. Does it call for now? Just, I don't know, what can you do with SuperSport? You have a good goal scorer. Are they good enough to repay his quality by challenging?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're a good team, but...
this season. Let me put this season.
The inconsistency is quite baffling. I mean, if you look at their opening games in the season, I mean, contributing to possibly ultimately, among other reasons, Micho's departure from Orlando Pirates as well, then going all the way in the MTN 8. This is a team that Caetano Tembo has molded for the last season or so, having been behind the scenes even when others before him were there, like Stuart Baxter, and and it's pretty much the same team, experienced. Mbule is coming into his own. Tebogo Mokoena, obviously, they still have Dean Furman. They still have a solid back four, a brilliant goalkeeper who seemingly now is the Bafana first choice, signed a bumper 4.5-year contract. They've got everything going for them, but somehow, I mean, Grobler also blows hot and cold. Gabuza, we were talking about him quite a lot beginning of the season, sort of faded a little bit.
Right.
I don't know if maybe that got to his head, or maybe he's
MTN
also
8.
Exactly. He's also not starting as many games as you thought he would.
Right.
It seems like Caetano was not sure about whether they should play together or they should sub each other, or he only picks Gabuza for certain games. But it's a boost that their win came against a cheaper side that had been improving, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Since Norman Mapeza got there, they were bottom of the log when he arrived. Now they're steadily climbing up, and as it should be, because you look at the quality. Your Rachales, the Nigerian striker that they've got. Things are going for them, even in midfield. Even. They fixed the goalkeeping problems with Tinyem there, who was leaking like a rusty bucket. He's gone now.
But they're without a win in 3 games. Isn't that like a chipper when you start looking at Chipper Bengesi's itchy trigger finger?
Yeah, well, I think at least Norman is probably safe until the rest of this, because you could see what he's trying to do.
Right.
So hence I'm saying the fact that win and such a heavy margin came against a cheaper side that I thought was starting to pick up some points, and against tough opposition as well. So SuperSport, I can't, they're definitely still in it, mathematically speaking, obviously.
No ways. They won't finish in top 6.
No, I'm saying mathematically speaking, not finish
SuperSport.
top 6. No.
SuperSport.
Oh, come on, they'll finish top 4.
They'll finish in the top 4 for sure.
No.
Or just top 5.
They'll
okay, if they make top 6, they will be number 6.
No chance.
They won't be above Orlando Pirates. They won't be above Bidvest. They won't be above Mamelodi Sundown. They won't be above those teams. So which means, for me, they will not finish there. Just look at where they
teams?
are.
Because if you look at it, it's Chiefs,
Pirates,
Wits,
SuperSport.
No, they'll make top 6.
and Sundowns.
They'll make top 6.
They'll
make top 6.
Who else?
They'll finish 6. Yeah. Okay, I get it. They'll
worst.
So what I wanted to say, finishing 6 in the Premiership for SuperSport United, this is a failure, because you cannot go below that because all the team below 6, they're not in the same level or the squad that SuperSport has.
Right.
It's the same. I was telling somebody when you talk about Orlando Pirates, if they don't win the league, they fail.
Okay, so let's put it this way, right? Let's say the top 8 next season, right? Obviously, the first, the first 4 teams, the highest ranked 4 teams, are going to be the seeds.
Yeah.
So how do you see that working out? The seeds are going to be Kaizer Chiefs.
SuperSport to win a cup is not the big issue. They can even win it and bank up.
That's what I'm saying. Well, I'm saying about how the season's going to end, right? I'm saying top 8 will play each other next season, right? I'm saying 1, 2, 3, and 4 are usually assigned as the home sides.
Yes.
Are you saying that next season you believe SuperSport United is either going to play Kaizer Chiefs or Sundowns?
They will be an away team. They don't have enough points or consistency for them to finish.
To be the home team.
So who's going to finish 5th?
This is what I'm saying. The teams that in top 5.
Probably.
You have Kaizer Chiefs, Mamelodi Sundowns, Orlando Pirates, Bidvest.
Those are your top 4.
That's 4. But I'm saying who's going to finish 5th? Is SuperSport finish 5th?
As the worst, they'll finish as 5th.
No, I want Chris to give me who's going to finish 5th.
I'm giving. If you look at the way the consistency is going, Cape Town City, they're coming back to that position.
No chance.
What?
No
That's
chance.
a long shot.
No chance.
No, man.
That's a long shot.
No chance.
Thank you very much, though. That's great content.
Okay.
That's great content, Bongo. Thank you very
I
much.
think Bongo
So
is clutching at straws here. No.
Where do you see SuperSport finishing this season? Top 4?
5 or 6?
Yeah, I mean,
5, 6, 7, 8.
I think 5th is a good guess.
That is the same.
Look at the Orlando Pirates win their game. They go above them, dropping them big way. We just talked about Bidvest winning 2 games. Immediately, SuperSport, they found themselves in the 5th position.
No, I hear that, but I'm
5th
saying
is worse. Is the worst they're
I'm
going to
saying,
finish.
you're saying 5th is the worst. You saying number 6, and we saying who will
Because for
finish
me,
number 5.
Who's going to finish above SuperSport?
And you saying
If
Cape
you're
Town
saying-
City? No ways.
Wrong season. Wrong premiership
No
season.
chance.
I've got a tweet here.
Maybe
SuperSport.
Stellenbosch.
According to Fidel African says SuperSport need a superstar to win the league, someone to take responsibility when things get tough. And you can join the conversation at Frun Sports with the hashtag Frun Sports to ask a question or put your thoughts as to what we're discussing. But you look at them, and I mean, Furman is leaving.
Chris, no.
He's still there.
Yeah, I'm still
Furman is leaving.
I'm like-
Ronwin Williams, okay, you see, signed a new major deal, but you know, those are just to make sure that the club gets back what they put in. They're not usually worth the paper that if someone comes with the right money, Ronwin can go. Do you get the sense that they're building? Like they do need
that's another show for another day. But
no, they need a
I think it's
they need a big star though.
It might go next year to Vets.
Who? Vets.
Ronwin. Chris, what?
Chris is dropping.
It's that peach.
Chris is dropping strange
It's
bombs
that
today. I
peach
don't know
that
what's
he was-
going on.
Let's just
What was that?
let's just-
with you?
let's
It's been
just-
soaking in
Let's just
vodka.
calm down. Why wouldn't he go
To
Vets?
To Vets
Yes.
out of the other top 3.
Vets,
No,
they are challenging to win the championship. They
Not
might
as
be,
not as much as anymore. Bongo.
They
They don't
will-
have the deep pockets that they
will-
used to have
Yeah,
when they
Say that,
recruited.
because they will go to the continent probably next year again. Williams want to be in the continent.
Yes, but he can do that at Sundowns or at Chiefs.
Okay.
It's SuperSport.
Yeah.
No. I think SuperSport is too
He's
small
done it
for
with
him now.
SuperSport. They've played in the Confed Cup. They've reached
He's
the
Bafana
final of the
number one.
Confed
He's
Cup.
got no
course.
huge
He's-
motivation to leave SuperSport. I don't know why. He's
They
signed
want
a
to win the
4.5-year contract with some
He want to win the league.
has given him a very good pay rise.
The only
want
way
to win the league.
Ronwin Williams leaves
SuperSport is overseas.
SuperSport United is to go abroad.
Yeah.
I don't see him ever playing for a local club.
So it does.
Chiefs
doesn't want to win the championship.
Chiefs have previously knocked on that door to test the waters. It didn't fly.
Okay.
Pirates, even though Ronwen himself says,
Yeah.
no one ever told me about Pirates wanting me, but I just read it in the papers.
Yeah.
But there are talks that Pirates did try to speak to SuperSport.
And if Moneybag Sundown come calling?
That's the thing. I don't think Sundowns
Have
ever
a need.
needed him.
Yeah, they don't have a need.
Sundowns have
They don't
like
have a need.
Onyango.
Yeah, no, they do.
I don't think,
And
even
Moulin.
then, obviously they've chopped and
And if
changed
Ronwin
goalkeepers.
goes anyway, he's got to be
You know.
number one. He's not
Of
going to be
course.
number one at
It's
Sundowns.
going to be a backup.
And also, if Sundowns at whatever time they wanted him, they actually went for Rayad Peters instead.
Instead, yeah.
You know, because they wanted a young goalkeeper who would
Backup.
overshadow,
A backup, yeah.
who would shadow Onyango
Onyango.
and that. But that's also not really worked out. So
For sure.
I don't think Ronwen's ever gonna go to another.
Well,
club
let's see.
locally.
Let's see. Because Furman is leaving, and this project obviously, if you want to get the likes of Ronwin and Robler just to stick around and make sure that they nail their colours in the mast, Ronwin has, fair enough. You do need to make it seem like you're bringing in the kind of quality that can take on these other sides.
No, definitely. And I think they do have that quality, but that quality is aging somewhat.
Right.
I think it's only in midfield, really, that where they are probably covered. I mean, they may think they need to look somewhere else for a Furman type defensive midfielder, because Tebuho and Mbule aren't quite
Yeah,
that.
they're not that.
Maybe you've got a Jamie Weber, who's probably could grow into that role, but maybe needs another season or two.
Okay.
But with enough game time, maybe he grows into that role. Up front, Gabuza and Bradley, late
aging
not late
front
30s,
line.
but that awkward age where you think he's twilight of his career. So they probably need a striker to come in who's 26, 27 to lead the line for
At
the
his
next
peak.
5 seasons.
Sure.
Because Bradley might still have another season in him. Gabuza, you never know. As now we're talking about it now, he started like a house on fire, but he's faded a little bit. And
Right.
he's 31, 32 also. So, I agree. They do need to show intent. Because it's not enough if you're saying you're a challenger to win cups here and there, and then you go 2-3 seasons, you quiet, then you win Nedbank Cup. You've got to now. It's been years now since they did that. Winning
3
the league
titles in a row.
three
Right.
times in a row. It's been sometimes. I think it was 2008, 9, and 10, and then they've just gone quiet. Obviously, just winning cups here and there. But you need to challenge, and definitely, I think they do need. They do need
superstar.
some marquee.
Marquee signing.
In the not this transfer window.
No, it's not going to
obviously,
happen, but in the off-season.
in the off season.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Look,
well,
they could
yeah.
pull a name out of nowhere. I mean, they pulled Brocky out of nowhere when they signed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
It turned out to be
A great...
fantastic for them, not so
Sure.
fantastic afterwards.
Sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They could find someone like that.
Okay, cool. Well, no, congratulations to them for keeping things interesting and cementing their place in the top 5 or 6.
Okay.
And then,
the moment.
we'll see what happens with Chipa United at the weekend. A big occasion for them is their 10-year anniversary, and they play against a rampant Orlando Pirates. So we'll see how that one pans out in their next fixture. Moving on, Stellenbosch. The machine keeps rolling on. Karuru with a first half winner. Stellenbosch 2020. 20 plenty for them. 20 plenty. That's really, they've
Ibaka,
taken that up.
salute, man.
Yeah.
Because I think at one point there were talks of him possibly being, shifted aside, maybe
Right.
redeployed, not necessarily fired. I don't
Yes.
think they would have, gotten rid of him, but maybe redeployed to bring in someone else to try and, but something just happened in that team. I think they. For me, some might argue differently, but for me, I think the turning point was that narrow defeat against Mamelodi Sundowns at Loftus towards the end of last year, and I think the team just began
I
to
thought
believe.
it was their victory against Orlando Pirates. I
Yeah.
think.
Did it not? Did it not?
That
It
brought them.
preceded because
Yeah, it
they
came
won
before.
and then they lost to Pirates in the next game.
No, they
and
lost
then-
to
No, they
Paris
lost
in the
to Pirates
Telkom
in the
knockout,
Telkom Cup,
then
yes.
beat them
And
in
they
the
beat
league.
them in the league.
Yes.
I think
And
that
then-
was the turning point because
So
they
that
realised
made
okay,
them to believe.
But
listen, we
did
can
they not?
beat.
Did they not lose a few other
They
games?
did
No,
after
they
that.
lost.
They did. After that,
they lost
did.
again. But he says,
Yeah.
"Listen, we can beat
Yeah.
a PSL team. We can
Yeah.
beat Orlando Pirates."
Yeah.
I watched the game. It was amazing about that game. They've got a ball position which was more than Polokwane City.
Right.
But they play most of their game in their own half. But they did not give the ball away.
Yeah.
They were passing the ball. They did not allow Polokwane to have the ball. I think that is the attitude. I think Mapunyane once told me, he said, there is only one soccer ball in the field. If you have it, your opponent can't have it. Therefore, you cannot hurt you.
Right.
So that's what they did. They kept the ball all the time. And once they lost it, they attacked, they looked for it, and they got the goal they needed to get. And it was, for me, it was good.
Yeah.
For a team that is fighting to be out of the relegation,
Yeah.
it is a good thing.
Are they not playing more and more like a PSL team?
Yeah,
In terms of
definitely.
that, instead of that rough and tumble NFD football or Glad Africa football, now they're kind of just saying, okay, we
Energy.
actually do have time to play. It's not a hurried mess. We can actually start being a ball-playing side, and they found that in their skill set.
I do think what Mazzola said about Sundown's game is valid because they didn't deserve the 3-1 defeat that they got in that
Right.
game. They were very hard done by the officials, and Steve Barker was
He
clearly
did
incensed.
say,
and he's
yeah,
not
he
the
was
guy
incensed afterwards.
to get very incensed from my experience of him. But they didn't let that. They still lost a couple of games after that to Wits and another game, but they didn't let that get them down, and they've certainly now found a rhythm. And
it's one of those things where the coach says, "You've shown me that."
Yeah.
And now all we have to do is on a more regular basis, and we'll get results.
Yeah.
Two teams that were in the bottom, I think the first 8 weeks of Premiership, which is Marisbeek and Stellenbosch, they found themselves now top there. That is incredible change of the Premiership.
Stellenbosch are top 8 now. For them to be top 8.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
They will take a picture
It's
and they
also
keep
those
it there. It's
moments
good.
where it makes you realize how ludicrous
But they have
the
played,
table
what,
is.
two
Welcome to
two
Frun
games
Sports
more?
Roundup of the top 5 African Stellenbosch have sports played 20 person games. from
20
this past
games.
week.
So, yeah, one
They-
game more
they've
than
one more than
Welcome
the
to
Frun
Frun
Sports Roundup of the top 5
So
African sports
Don't take a
teams
picture.
around
Don't
this
take a
past.
picture. It's not a bad thing.
That's not a bad thing. I mean, it shows definitely stability, but instability would currently be the hallmark for Polokwane City. I mean, Clinton Larson brought in to stabilize things, and it's just not happening. I think the size of this project is getting bigger and bigger with every bad result.
Yeah, maybe the saving grace for him is that Leopards are worse.
Well, yeah.
But even though
Leopards have a game in hand, and
even though they find themselves in the same sort of
Situation.
predicament or whatever, but yeah, Clinton's it's not quite worked out, because he, at some point he had arrived at Chippa when Chippa were in a similar circumstance, but I think at the time, obviously I think Chippa also had better quality
of course,
players,
right,
and he could do a bit more with that. They just probably needed that manager bounce, and then they could click back into gear,
right,
and get the results. But at Polokwane City, I mean, before he got there, I think they lost 8 games in a row, and then he got there, and then they made it 10 games in a row, and then he did eventually get that one victory. You thought they'd turn it around, but they just keep losing by small margins as well. So I don't know. It's looking like Polokwane City, Black Leopards, possibly one of them automatic relegation and the other playoffs, and I don't know if they would come back.
I don't know if this is coaching issue, because when I look at the bench, the players that are supposed to be in the field, all of them are in the bench. Wiseman Maluleke on the bench, Jim Maluleke on the bench, and the Nene on the bench, and those are the core that made Polokwane City be what we end up being a Polokwane City, and those players are sitting on the bench where. You look at the midfield, they did not control the game at all against a team like Stellenbosch.
Well, I always say, what happened in training?
We don't.
Well, we don't know. So when players are on the bench, I always say they probably haven't earned their spot. Let's keep it moving. Cape Town City, Rika Rink, running circles around these other teams. 3 wins on the trot now. Kermit Erasmus gets them the win against Black Leopards. 1-0 victory there, and probably the game that's thrown Kevin Johnson into a deeper abyss. Just thinking about his position at Black Leopards, reports emanating that he's kind of being put on the side or on ice just to then delve deeper into what's happening with the team. I mean, I don't know if that's the right approach. I don't know if he's had enough time. I don't know what's the real metric, how you measure to say, actually, okay, you know what, there's progress. But it would seem that the people in charge of Black Leopards don't seem to think so.
Yeah, look, I mean, this would be their 4th coaching change, because it was the Frenchman, Lionel. Then it was Morgan Shivambu, caretaker role. Then it was Luke Emile. Now it's Kevin Johnson. Now Alan Clark apparently is the one that's appointed caretaker coach. Funny, because Alan was brought there by Kevin because they worked together at Amazulu. So that would be strange that Alan would also
not say, listen, not for me.
Agree to take the job. Stab
Kev.
say, Kevin has brought him here. We worked together for 2.5 years at Amazulu, and then he brings me to Leopard, then I stab him in the back. And
he's still talking about Amazulu. They were together, Platinum Stars.
Exactly.
He's been everywhere with Kevin.
So it's a bit, obviously it's unconfirmed from the club side at the moment, but it's looking like apparently Alan's been given the caretaker job, which would be very strange for me. But I think, look, it's a difficult one. Okay, actually not so difficult in the sense that the Leopards management, obviously this season, it's just been chaotic in the manner in which they're running the club. From hiring a carpenter to begin with, to go 4 or 5 games without, really seeing where he was going. And then obviously bringing Luke, who I thought would stabilize. And indeed, it looked like he was doing that. And then they were bossing him around, telling him what to do, giving him times for training sessions and trying to control the team that he picks. And then he quits. And then they bring in Kevin. You think, one of our own, we know what he can do. And then he's now gone, they're in a rut now. You know? And so you can... So, and from that point of view, I can understand how they're panicking. It's panic stations, obviously. I mean, relegation. We were talking the other week about the budget between being in the Premier Division to being in the lower division. You know? So huge. It's panic stations now. Leopards have not gone down there. They've been up, 3 seasons now since, Musonda had helped them. So panic stations, they now decide, Kevin, okay, aside, we need to get someone else to take over the last remaining games and try save us. Which, those are the signs of a club that's possibly going to get relegated.
I mean, Kevin's been around the block. I don't think he'd be surprised if
that happened to him. He knows the nature of the
nature of Leopards. He's seen 4 coaches come and go this season alone. It's like...
So now, John, here's a trick question.
It's easy for a coach in a sense because you can just go, it's Leopards.
It is Leopards, But here's a trick question. Like the way he was talking about how Luke was treated and that input from management. Is there a South African club that's ever been successful with that approach and won stuff?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Which one?
No, the answer is yes.
The general rule is that stable, high-level officials win things.
Right.
Stability at a higher level.
I've just never understood that. I ask it as a trick question because
Chipper, who also has a reputation for firing people.
Right.
They haven't won anything, but they've somehow stayed in the top flight for a little bit. And Leopards, I guess that the financial pressures that Mazzola mentioned are very real, and you sort of the cost of dropping down to the NFD is horribly painful. So you're just going to go through a coach, but the idea of going through coach after coach and until someone and irrationally.
5 coaches in 1 season. I mean,
if Leopards totally irrational.
If Leopards stay up, I mean that's unprecedented even for Chipper. I mean,
the context of
I don't think Chipper's fired 5 coaches in 1 season.
You've got to stick with Emile. He's an experienced coach. He's got a history of doing well at clubs, and then suddenly he's gone. And then you bring Kevin in. You're like, Kevin's got a history of doing pretty well with Platinum Stars, and
there is a coach,
and well with Supersport, and well with Amazulu for a little. But you just don't have any faith. It's like 2-3 defeats, and it's like, sorry,
you're the wrong guy. We didn't do our due diligence.
There is a coach,
especially with Kevin and Luke, because they've got a pedigree. So to then be all confused. I mean, it's even worse with Luke because it looked like things were being, were stabilizing. If the relationship is reached such, strained levels, why not just let him continue until the end of the season? And then when you've secured your status, say, look, it's not working out. You go that way, we go that way.
But it means they don't trust him enough to do that.
Exactly. They don't think to the detriment of their Premier League status, though. I think Leopards will get relegated.
It might be as well when they sign contract, because what happened, this is an assumption, is you promise them, you say, listen, give me 2 games and see what I will do.
Right.
It could be that. Or
with Kevin or with Luke?
No, Kevin could have said to them, listen, just give me a couple of games, I'll show you. And then those couple of games did not happen. Or it is the coach comes, some coaches, because they want to work, and they say, listen, he's doing it wrong. Better. And we don't know what the conversation they do have with those coaches. Right.
But when we come to a club being successful by giving them a starting 11, there is a coach currently in PSL was offered a job, and he said, the only way I can take this job for you to give me the starting 11 if you are in training on Thursday and Tuesdays, and then we compare our notes, and I'll see if what we can do as a team. We can do it because that team, very successful team in South Africa, that team, they did give coaches the starting 11, and they succeeded. I won't say what they want because it's gonna blow me out. They succeeded.
I'm not getting involved here.
This is like a good pub quiz question for one day.
I'm not getting involved because I don't know what he's talking about.
John, do you?
No comment.
That is the most nervous no comment ever. That comment, that no comment was a comment.
Any further, there may have been
when you're taking the job,
there may have been some rumours of interference in team selection at certain clubs, and it may have happened or it may not have happened.
And those teams that you have those allegation, they're not always not successful in those seasons.
Okay, we're gonna leave that one there as we keep it moving. It seems the only way for a new coach to win is to not have a work permit, because Dylan Kerr now seems to, from far away. Obviously, he's doing the work. We all know that he's probably putting in there. But I mean, this is a very strange one because he doesn't get to sit on the bench.
I can't fathom what's going on there.
But still, he wins
because that guy's coached in South Africa before. It's not like he's a newbie. He coached at Leopards and suddenly he can't get work permit.
That's
whereas some coaches find it very easy. Some coaches at certain clubs find it very easy to get work permits.
Wasn't that difficult.
Hit the ground running, it seems. Yeah. So what's happening with Dylan Kerr then? Well, what do you think it is?
But I mean, there was a story today that it looks like it's happened. It looks like he's got his work permit now, so he will probably be on the bench their next game.
Okay.
But it is strange. I mean, how many games is that now where the guy has been without a work
4
permit?
matches now.
It's too long.
Yeah,
it's too long. Whereas, as we mentioned, Zimbabwe, one of the latest coaches to arrive in South African football, was
sorted.
Had 2 weeks before his first game. The club anticipated that he wouldn't be in charge of that game.
Right.
Obviously, they had said that Rulani would be in charge, but a few days before that, he got his work permit, which means it probably
they filed the paper correctly.
It took a week and a half for
Also with
Zimbabwe
Morocco,
to get
they had
here.
near Render there.
So
they had to get him a work permit. It's not like they've never had a foreign coach.
No, but you also remember Nyirende also when the season started, Nyirende coached from the stand.
Right.
Because he also didn't.
So I wonder if it's just like an administration thing.
If possibly.
Probably
I don't know if you guys have heard them, but I've heard horror and circus stories about Barocca and the running of the club. So it is possible that it's probably an administration issue.
Okay.
Whereas, for instance, at Orlando Pirates, when we're mentioning Zimbabwe now, we know that it's
there's the foresight, there's the planning.
There's the foresight, and they've got their ducks in a row. So they would have. We're hiring a coach. He needs a work permit. We'll get it sorted quickly. Same with when Ernst. Although Ernst, I think he had a his PRP already, so it wasn't an issue. But we've had instances where other clubs have hired foreign coaches who didn't take so long.
The same with Riekering at Cape Town.
Exactly.
Comita said he won't be in charge for this game. After the international break, we'll have his work permit.
Exactly. So I think
and it happened.
I honestly think it's down to just administration, because I've heard horror stories about Barocca.
They found another 3 points and they're sitting 3 points above safety there in a rather still precarious situation of 13th position on the log, but good win there. 2 goals, Tsidi Sopaji in the 89th minute here, come on as a sub in the 80th, gets them the winner. And Maritzburg, I mean, you can't win all of them, but
from even when they equalized, you can see that Eric Tinkler was not happy. From the beginning, he did not like the way they were playing. And I was watching the game, I kept on commenting. It looked like that game they would not win it. The best they could have done it was to draw the game. I didn't feel them. I didn't feel Maritzburg playing.
Wow, it wasn't a Friday.
Yeah, it wasn't a Friday.
It wasn't Friday at the Harry
Friday
Potter.
night. It wasn't Friday night lights.
And even the way he was sitting, he gave up in that game.
You saw him when they scored the goal. He was the only person kind of
exactly sitting there. He gave up. I keep on saying there is something with Eric Tinkler. The game is still 1-0, but he's not part of the game. And then when they equalized, everybody's celebrating. He was not celebrating. Maybe they told him something that we don't know.
Maybe he thought he saw the same thing as you, that we're not going to win this game. Like maybe he could see it from a mile away. That this was
this Friday at the Harry Guana.
Oh, 3 points in the bag. 3 points in the bag. But no, congratulations to Barocca, who, I mean, for them to at least make the home games count is important, and 2-1 victory there with goals from Samson and Bachi, getting them through as far as to the next round of the. With 3 points in their hands, I guess. As we now look at another game that sees Pirates, we're speaking about consistent coaches. We've got Stevie Barker. I mean, Ernst can go in there for somewhat. And then, Jay-Z doing it again. Another win. Vincent Pule, who, tried and tried again until he got on that score sheet in that game.
Yeah, I mean, Zimbabwe wasn't that pleased with the chances they missed.
Right.
I mean, it was one of those games where they should actually have won by a lot more goals.
They laboured there.
But they got the win,
Mm.
and it's built on also having a
And clean
more
sheet.
solid defence than
It's-
they had
it's-
under Rolani.
Right.
They've just sorted out problems. I mean, even he. I saw an interview with him where he said we've just sort of, fixed some stuff on the transition,
Yeah.
which was clear for everyone to see. On
Right.
the transition, Pirates were wide open at the back. It was like, come walk through this gaping highway of a defence of ours and score.
Yeah.
And now they've just done some tweaking.
Sure.
Yeah.
And in some sense for him, it's been relatively simple in that sense because all they've done is tweaked it a bit, solidified the defence. They've always had the players up front to cause problems for anyone, and they're reaping their rewards. And
Yeah.
they're a dangerous team, as we mentioned last week. They could easily finish. I can't see them winning the league, but they could easily finish second in the table.
But, like I said, if Orlando Pirates does not win the league, it is a failure. 2 seasons coming second,
but
you buy
Well,
players.
I think this season though you can kind
Yeah,
of
it was a write-off the moment.
Like,
the
certainly
moment
not-
Nacho left.
Certainly not a failure for Zinba if he doesn't win.
No,
the
not
league.
him.
He's come in now and
I'm
he's,
talking about the club. And there is one common point when you look at Ajax, Cape Town. Cape Town City and Orlando Pirates, why they are continuing winning. The only thing that's changed is the midfield. For instance, for Ajax, suddenly this is Benny
Cape Town.
McCarthy's midfield.
Yeah.
Cape Town
Basically, Cape Town City.
Yeah.
Cape Town City midfield, it is what Benny has created, where you play with Roland, you play with Pushe, Nodada, and Lake. That's what made them become solid. So number 6 and number 8, they start playing their game. They don't want to go and score goals to here. Here in Orlando Pirates, you have now Mutuari playing with Makarenge and being told, you're not a goal scorer. Okay, if you score, it's like your job is here to protect.
Yeah, to protect the back
And
wall.
suddenly the back three start looking protected because you have 2 players here. So that is the big tweak. So these teams must start understanding number 6, number 8, you're not there to be in Twitter, you're not there to be in Instagram because you scored. If you score, it's lucky.
Right.
Corner kick, you score. But your job is to put the dirty work, and that's what they've been doing.
Right.
I
So-
want to know what study leave Rilani's on.
Well, I
Anyone
guess the
know
best
what
form of
study league
study
he's on?
would have been to just stick around at the club because it seems like
you
there's a
could
bit of
probably
a.
watch Pirates play now.
Yeah,
maybe you could argue, but Mazzola doesn't know. He's shaking his head. He doesn't know what study leave Rilani's on. Chris,
Is he really on study leave?
I don't know. I don't know where Rolani is.
You know,
Just now
study
he
leave.
knows where
just
he
now
is.
he will tweet me and say I know where he is. I've been sending him DMs, but I don't know where Rolani is.
He has been tweeting a lot, but nothing
Has he?
to do with football, about Guardiola, obviously. And talking about... but it is true. He's talking about Guardiola. He's talking about...
He loves him some Guardiola. There's nothing wrong.
What is the coach, Tottenham coach?
Mourinho.
Mourinho,
Yeah.
and he's using a lot of their paraphrase. For me, I think what is very important, the study leave should be there because he has to study football. He has to study what is needed in Orlando Pirates, which means not all 11 players should be Maradona.
Okay. Picasso's.
So, for me, it is. I keep on saying he can be a good asset for South African football.
Right.
And if he's studying, he should be studying how Orlando Pirates is playing now compared to his time. Nothing wrong to be in study leave.
Hey. Yeah, no, okay.
By all
well,
accounts, he's not doing that though, because nobody's seen hide nor hair of him at the
When you
stadiums
study,
on
people
the
don't
touch
see you.
line.
When you study, you're in your room.
When you study, you're in your room.
no one sees you.
He said when you study, you're in your room.
You're using a video evidence and you're learning.
This is going sideways. It's downhill from here.
Yeah, no, okay.
Asking a question.
Okay, there we go. Simple. Thanks, guys. I think that we've wrapped up that one. Very quickly, let's touch on the Absa Premiership Awards. Pizzo seen as a coach of the month. And
Well, you're
Kim
the only
Mutupa,
team that played
player of the month.
A coach from convenience. And they may as well give Zimbabwe the one for January now.
Yeah, no.
Get it over and done
Come on,
with.
guys.
And Gabardino the other one.
Where are you being nasty?
No. Pizzo did well. He won his games, right?
Good.
Or he won, yeah. So if you win your games.
You are the coach of the month.
Well, it is. I do sometimes think it's a bit like they do seem to sort of just add up the stats and that's it. Yeah, I don't know, because you can contextualize it. You can say,
Yeah,
I don't know if they deliberate.
At
It will be
Sundowns,
interesting
it
to
was
get
the richest club in the
Farouk
country
Khan,
and
the
should win every
convener,
game
in
they
here
play.
to ask him
I
because
have done quite a few
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
They give specific dates.
It's like
They give a specific date from this date to this date. And then what's happened is they will eliminate if basically if one team has played 3 games, they will take all the teams in that period for those 3 games only. So they eliminate others and it keeps that period. So they do make it quite fair.
But it's I think the last couple of months, the ones that Ernst won 3 in a row now. So I think they've been pretty straightforward. The January one is going to be interesting because you've got Jay-Z, you've got Stevie Barker. You could argue Stevie Barker resources. Okay, Ricky Rink.
There was that one.
Yeah, there was the hammering against Chiefs.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can throw them all in there because I think most clubs played about 6 games. If not all of them, I think all of them.
You can throw in a weighted argument to say like, okay,
exactly, resources.
Pirates have won more games than Stellenbosch, but Stellenbosch.
I guess this is the time where because the coach of the season is always like pretty much who wins the league. So I guess with these coaches of the month, you could use them to highlight.
But here's the thing, sorry to drag this on, but if you've got Zenbauer and you've got Stevie Barker, who do you give the award to?
You give it
if they've won
the same amount of games.
Stellenbosch,
right?
Stellenbosch moved up the table. Pirates have also moved up the table.
It's a good point because when we do it, or when I was there doing it, is first we go to stat, like you said. So everybody's eliminated. You get Stellenbosch and Orlando Pirates, and then you go to the level of difficulties, which means how many home games. People don't put this in consideration. It is so hard for Cape Town City, for a team like Stellenbosch
to come up to the
because in routing we have almost 5 teams. So your away game can still be around routing,
right?
Whereby Cape Town City, the away game can be in Polokwane and then come back in Maritzburg. And then only then you start going to the level of difficulty.
So you go into the detail.
Yes,
to start picking apart.
And the meaning of the win as well. I mean, you're in a relegation zone, you won 2 games, and suddenly you find yourself in a 14th position than a team that's still number 1. And
I mean, I think Stevie's got a shot, man.
I think he does. It'll be interesting to see how they. We'll watch that one with close eye. And then Gift Matupa, the links to Sundowns, all those.
I mean, Gift did come out to admit that they, obviously he said he wasn't called directly, but he said Sundowns and Wits were in discussions about possibly, getting him to move to Klurkop. He was keen, but he's a Wits player and he's very happy. If he would only move if Wits were to give him the green light, but he doesn't think that's gonna happen because it looks like he's part of the plans, obviously, and he's the top goal scorer.
Right.
But it's also strange, top goal scorer who sits on the bench most of the time. So
Gavin obviously sees him as more of an impact player.
Exactly. So I mean, those are beyond the rumor stage now because the player.
You have Alonso there. You have.
It's tricky. I mean, Afonso has been injured. I think that's why Pito was trying to get a striker in now in the January window because Afonso has been in and out of the team because of injury. Ali Meza was also in and out of the team injured. Obviously, they lost to Kelorantie after terminating his contract. Pagamani Mahlambi, who can also play as a number 9. Same. Lebo Mabue is just off the pace this season. I don't know. I think he was overloaded the previous season, played way too many games than he's used to. So it would have made sense maybe to try. Pito said they were trying to get Musona, but obviously they would have had to release one foreign player to make space available. So they're looking for a striker, but I don't know if Gift would have been the ideal striker. I just feel like he would have been a stopgap. And then he doesn't play the next season, but he signed a 5-year contract or something like that.
This is cashing in,
I just would have felt like one of those. But Gift said he was keen. He said it's the best team in the country. Who wouldn't want to play for the best team in the country? But Vet said no.
Okay. Well, good on him to respect his contract as it remains a Wits player. Let's quickly look at what happened with the Champions League. Sundowns drawing in Angola against Petro Luanda. And then, of course, Wits going 2-1 down. They haven't won a single game.
No.
Wits.
But that was the most difficult game in the group. That team in Guinea have lost one game since 2012.
Oroya crazy.
They come from the Champions League, by the way.
They are crazy at home.
And they did. I mean, they made a fight of it. They lost Nonyane to a red card in the 25th minute when it was 1-1. And
I mean, no SA team has beaten Royal,
including
Royal.
Orlando Pirates.
Including Orlando Pirates,
Yeah.
Mamelodi Sundowns, and SuperSport.
Yeah, it's super sports. So, no, it is a very, very tough team.
And he fielded a strong team. If you look at the team,
Yeah,
he put
yeah.
out, he put
Yes.
out a properly strong team. So they were still going for it,
Yeah.
which again goes against sort of the talk before the tournament. That
Right.
Was, we don't. It's not financially viable for us to compete. They did compete, but 2 points from 5 games is not going to get you through to the quarterfinals, and they're out.
And that is dangerous for Kaizer Chiefs. though.
On the plus side, they can. They now have
Sure.
only have the domestic front
Yeah.
to concentrate on, and they won't be
Yeah.
traveling.
He
anymore.
is the most dangerous coach because people don't talk much about Bidvest, and they slowly, when Kaizer Chiefs is having big games, and he collects 3 points,
And they're still gonna play Chiefs twice.
and when you think about it, that's 6 points.
Yeah. No, for sure.
That's
No, for
6
sure.
points, and after the 6 points, suddenly
It
you drop a
looks-
point there, he gets here, it becomes. So
So
I'm
Vets are what, 4 or 5 games behind Chiefs?
Yeah, so
That's
Five.
5 games.
5 games.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's a whole 15 points that
And
they have.
those 15.2 of them are against Chiefs.
the problem for Gavin, I think, is that he doesn't have it. And we mentioned Motupa, but he doesn't have a prolific goal scorer. Chiefs have Castro, they have Milkovic.
And Billiard.
And he signed this Cameroonian who looked useful in the first game, but still hasn't got on the score sheet yet.
That's Carl Lark, isn't it? Is he still there?
I don't think. Carl Lark, let's
I
Carl
don't, I don't know
Lark.
if he's still there. Is he
Carl
still
Lark
there?
can make a massive renaissance.
Yeah.
Bag 20 before the end of the season. I've got my
he
doubts.
could maybe.
Got my doubts about that. So I think
yeah.
they're just those games where it's like an on a knife edge, a bit like the Cape Town City match was for a bit. Nobody to be decisive. And
Bongo, you might be
finish
onto
it.
something, eh? Because I look at that. That's a lot of points that they still
No,
have,
yeah,
and it would put them.
definitely.
It would have put them hypothetically, if they won all 5 games, they'd be sitting on 45 points.
And
That's
how many do
above
Chiefs
Chiefs.
have?
That's 34. That'd be 11.
40.
That doesn't make sense.
No, 40.
Yeah.
Chiefs have 40.
Have 34 points.
No.
No, sorry, so 45. 45.
45.
So they'd be tied.
They'd be tied on
They'd be
They'd
tied.
be tied if they won their 5 games in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then Chiefs have a 1 game. Sorry, so there. Chiefs have played only 4 more games.
Only 4. Yeah.
Yeah,
So they'd be within
so-
3 points if they won all their games in hand.
Before
And if they beat Chiefs twice, they'd be 3 points clear of Chiefs.
I don't think I don't see Vets winning all 5 games.
Yeah, I
It's
don't either.
unlikely, but
I don't
It's
either.
unlikely unless all 5 are away from home. But
This-
I don't think they are away from home.
the season they beat Mamelodi Sundowns in the chess. I think they put something like 6 winning game.
well, they got Black Leopards next, so they should win that.
Yeah, I know. Let's see. I mean, like, for them, it's an interesting run because next, Black Leopards on the 6th of Feb. Then it's Maritzburg United.
The week before that,
Then it's Baroka. So
the week
already
before that,
there's
they've got
looking-
Confederation
the
Cup,
Highlands?
which he
Yeah,
won't be
you see,
playing.
that's the thing.
No, Sunday
the
he'll
league-
play as kids.
So it's so
Exactly.
unpredictable
So
though. So to think Vets will win all 5.
Then they got Leopards, then they got Pirates in the Nedbank Cup last 30.
Of course, they still have to play Mamelodi Sundowns.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
It is
Yeah.
tough. It is
No,
tough
they
for
don't have
everyone.
to play Mamelodi Sundowns.
They finished with-
They played Mamelodi
Yeah,
Sundowns.
Yeah.
2 goalless draws.
Two,
Or 2
yeah.
draws.
Yeah. Oh,
so they
One
finished with
nil,
Mamelodi
one
Sundowns?
nil.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
Oh, okay, so
They'll play Pirates and Chiefs twice.
Wow.
Okay,
They
well,
beat Pirates 4-3 in that game in Durban. And they
Yeah.
got Chiefs.
Yeah.
yeah.
all right. Well, let's keep it moving on to the last
where
item.
Pirates ran out of time.
Huh? Oh, yeah, they did. They ran out of time.
Joel, you
Last week,
Mm.
before we left on the Tuesday, we were looking forward to the draw.
Mm.
It's happened.
Oh, yeah.
And we know our fate as far as the World Cup qualifiers are
This
concerned,
guy, Chris
alongside
Bombay, said that
Ethiopia.
Ghana, he wanted Ghana off camera. He said Ghana would be a good one for South Africa.
Okay, we got Ghana. Thanks, Chris.
I didn't say
And we
it
got
will be
Zimbabwe
good.
as
I said
well.
it looks like we'll be with Ghana.
No, you said
Okay,
Ghana are good because of the state of
Ghana is a
Ghanaian
winnable
football
game.
at the moment.
I think Ghana is a winnable game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ghana.
Listen, are we going to the World Cup? I don't think so. Are we getting out of this group?
Did you not watch us when we played against
No,
Ghana?
forget that. That was just after the AFCON.
We were shocking
Right.
in that game.
Yeah.
At the Cape Coast Stadium.
Listen, we have a big problem.
It
We
was
don't
a
have a
horror show.
coach. Excuse me.
We don't have a coach.
What happened there?
I haven't finished saying what I'm
Shots
saying.
fired.
before
So
this
the views expressed by Christopher Bongo
I
do
have-
not represent. I'm gonna have my Sky Sports moment.
represent-
I have
Front
to
runner.
finish what I'm saying.
Yes.
Okay.
We don't have a coach in the pedigree of qualifying a team in that level.
That's fair enough.
We don't have a coach with an experience of traveling the continent and they bring a qualification. That by itself, it is a tough doing.
For sure. But all those coaches who have that pedigree had to start somewhere, Chris. So let's give them that, right?
No, they started with African Cup of Nations qualifier here. They started with Chan. Listen, this is, remember, I don't know, two of them, they wrote articles, I think it was 5 years ago, Operation 2020,
right.
Vision 2020.
Yeah.
So now we're in Vision 2022. And what is the status of our Vision 2022?
Right.
And that is the big problem. If we're in the same group with Ethiopia, with Zimbabwe, and with Ghana, and already people are scared, that means we are not in a good state.
Yeah, of course.
But this is not
We don't have a coach, guys.
a Ghana.
No. You are taking it wrong.
You're paraphrasing him. That's not what he said.
Journalist.
Said,
Thank you.
We don't have a coach that has the experience
Thank you.
of qualifying teams. We
This is
didn't let him
not,
finish.
This is not a Ghana team of the threat of the Ghana team that when we last played them in World Cup qualifying that had Michael Essien in midfield, that had Stephen Appiah in midfield.
Yeah.
That was really like one of the probably the top team in Africa at that point, and
Yeah.
went to the World Cup in Germany and did well. I think they lost to Brazil in the last 16. They did very well.
Yeah.
So, but it's certainly not a Ghanaian team of that quality, and they do have problems. They fired their president for corruption and bribery a couple of years ago. They have had to bring in. They fired their coach. They fired the coach who coached South Africa to the 2-0 win of the Cape Coast Stadium. He's
Right.
gone. His assistant is now in charge.
Right.
And the new FA is in charge.
Yeah, so it's certainly not the most stable organisation you've ever seen in your life.
Right.
So maybe Bafana can capitalise on that. My thing is though, and obviously Ethiopia seem to have not really built on the victory they got over Gordon Iggeson's Bafana, and then they went on to lose a playoff to Nigeria, I think, to qualify for Brazil. They haven't really built on that, and they don't really look. They're arguably worse now than they were. So there's a chance Zimbabwe. Yeah,
You never know what
Zimbabwe
you're
we
gonna
should
get
be able
from
to beat, but
Zimbabwe.
you never
Right.
know with Zimbabwe.
Got good attack in
What's
defense.
what's your verdict in this group?
I mean, the problem is
Of course, if I'm being patriotic, obviously I want to see Bafana progress.
Yeah.
But you come out. The thing for me is that it's so difficult to get to the World Cup. You come out of a tough group as it is,
Right.
and then you're still gonna have to play home and away against.
Another tough
I
team.
mean,
Yeah.
you could get an Nigeria, you could play in Algeria, you could play
Senegal.
Cameroon, Senegal. I mean, you just
That's
never
where
know.
I am. I
Yeah.
believe this group is a winnable group.
But then it's what happens after the
Yes,
group.
because you don't know.
Yeah,
You might find yourself playing against Cameroon or Nigeria. You might find yourself playing against. If you play against DRC, great chance for you to go through. You might find yourself playing against Egypt, great chance for you to go through, depending how they look, or Morocco. But winning this group, it is a winnable group. I know many people in South Africa, they don't believe it, but it is a winnable group.
Look at
No,
that.
I
Also,
think-
that
I think,
only.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, the simple fact is that Bafana in this position because they've slumped down the world rankings far
Yeah.
enough that they were among the second seed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Right.
they were always going to have a very difficult.
I think we're number 75th now.
task. We're 13th in Africa. I don't
Yeah.
know where we are in the world exactly. We're always going to have a difficult task to get to the World Cup.
Sure.
But the only way we're going to get ourselves back up the rankings
Is
to a
by
position
going
where we're
through
gonna
this
have
difficult
easier
task.
qualifying
Yeah.
campaigns is by beating Ghana.
Yeah.
Is by beating Nigeria, Algeria,
Well,
Senegal,
so
Cameroon.
nothing for Mahala.
Well, I
It's the
mean,
only way.
Nothing for Mahala.
it probably will get better the next after Qatar because
Yeah.
then World Cup possibly being expanded,
Right.
and then maybe Africa getting a few more spots,
Right.
then it probably possibly could get easier. But still, if you're not seeded, if you're not in pot one or if among the top seeds, it's
Going to be tough.
you
going.
always have to expect that the group's gonna be tough. Your route to the World Cup is always gonna be tough. Even the AFCON.
Yeah.
It is
in
tough.
the qualifications for the AFCON. I mean,
I wanted to qualify something I said about the coaching because I've been following South African performance abroad, South African players' performance abroad. But yet when they do selection, those players they don't figure, and because the coach is either doesn't know
Like who?
No, we have quite a lot of unknown.
Unknown,
names, but
okay.
they are South African,
Right.
but I don't think. Sorry to cut you off, Bongo, but
Yeah.
I don't think the coach is to blame all on his own, because I think there were stories in December or before that, just after we played Sudan in the AFCON qualifier,
that he was going to travel and have a look.
He did say to us that he's going to travel. That's how he was going to while away his time in between, the March
long stretch,
qualifier. Exactly. But it sounded like Safa did not have the budget to allow him to go. I mean, the coach had a clear plan to go abroad, meet some
to widen the base, because we need the base, and we have
and those are the exact same words that he used. I mean, he mentioned that there's Dean Furman and Kamelo Mokocho in midfield, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
The midfield sort of picks itself, because you don't have too many options, especially in a defensive role. But he's heard. He wanted to go speak to Thomas. How do you pronounce his surname? Buckhazen and Preston. I don't think he's managed to get the opportunity to do that, because it doesn't seem like there was a budget for him to go abroad. So we never heard about that, because I'm pretty certain that if he had gone, we would have gotten press releases and audio and pictures of Mulefintseki in the UK or wherever. Meeting these players and chatting to them about coming to play for South Africa and widening the pool. And so that's what I'm saying. I'm not exonerating him, but I'm saying it's the association
he
has
can't
to
do
give,
much with one hand tied behind his
the
back.
association has to give him the budget and say, here's the budget.
Go find these people.
Find these people. But
their premises in what we're saying here about going in Europe and widening the base, Senegal has done it. That's what Bruno Metsu did and managed to get Senegal where they got. DRC has done it. That's what the coach has done. Went to Europe and get all the Congolese players that they've been in France and they've born there.
But can't crack the national team.
They go to African Cup of Nations. They finished third and they won CHAN. South Africa, just go and say South African players abroad.
No, we have a lot. I mean,
they play week in, week out.
The World Cup, the Under-20 World Cup, Thabo Sinong actually had selected quite a lot. It's a pity he didn't give many of them an opportunity.
That is the thing.
Instead, which is probably to his detriment. Probably that's why he isn't the head coach any longer, because he had all these kids who are playing abroad, tougher opposition, but he was putting them on the bench and fielding MDC players.
Exactly.
So there is a wide pool. It just the association has to put the money where their mouth is.
Yeah.
There's a couple of youngsters in the squad at Southampton. There's one in the squad at Leicester.
Right.
There's a couple of youngsters over South African youngsters.
Yeah.
I mean, they have been part of the under-20.
Yeah, and I think just this week there was another kid who signed a contract with a European team, but there's talk now that the English FA are chasing after him, possibly trying to get him to play for them instead of, even though he's expressed an interest to play for South Africa.
Right.
But if you don't have someone from SAFA,
going to engage that kid before he's engaged by the FA,
the FA's got
countries are sharp. If
they've got the
talent,
resources,
they will throw him into a game.
For sure.
It's like the example you can make is maybe Tammy Abraham. Nigeria really wanted him to play for them, but England were in our squad.
Cool. Quickly play, get a cap.
Match now.
You can't just you're spoiled.
You're spoiled. Can't play for Nigeria now. So they just killed any chance of him playing for us.
Wow.
So it's that it is like it's a dog-eat-dog world out there, and you've got to kind of get the players. But I think that it's a difficult one, because in the reality is, I do think that at the moment there's not too much strength. I mean, if you look at the overseas players, okay, we're kind of looking at these players that are in the squads of teams. We're not looking at players that are playing regularly for their teams, I mean, you can just look at Ghana, have Thomas Partey, who's a regular in the Atletico Madrid midfield, or at least a regular part of the squad.
For sure.
Jordan Ayew up front for
Crystal Palace.
He moves around, but he scores some goals. Andre Ayew, I think, is playing with Swansea in the Championship. They have
regulars at a high level
playing all over Europe. And when it comes down to key games, key moments, then it's very difficult to compete against that.
Yeah.
Having said that, you can say we managed to beat Mohamed Salah in Egypt in the AFCON.
Exactly.
So why can we not reproduce that?
I'm just looking here.
We beat Nigeria in Nigeria. We do tend to raise our game for these bigger games.
Right.
So maybe, it'll be better for us that we've got a tougher draw. It might be better for us. You can't be switched off for a game against Ghana. You can't be switched off for a game against Zimbabwe.
Right. Ethiopia.
Well,
And
that may be the worry for me because they've beaten us before, and the teams like Mauritania, we lost to them.
Well, another good thing
More
that
of a concern.
it's changing, and I think that has come from the pressure from South African press as well, is we take the advantage away from South Africa when they're playing against international team by taking it out of routing, where your altitude is 1,200 meter, and going to play a team like Gabon playing them in Durban. You are giving your advantage away to a team that's play from a sea level. So if we keep all our games in routing in Johannesburg, and then we play against...
Well, the FA is broke. That's another thing. I mean, the FA is broke if Durban municipality says...
We'll pay for it,
So
Give us the game.
It's
about the bottom line. I mean, look, think about what happened.
No, I get your point. I get. We said it many
Cape
times.
Verde as well.
No, we said it many times. Exactly.
We went to Cape Verde, we lost there, then we took them to Durban, and they still
on a
flashed
holiday.
us.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
I mean, you know.
No, you
So
are right.
don't play at sea level. Don't take our
So there are
opponents to
many
sea level.
things that
That's
can
simple.
happen before.
It is a
We
good point,
couldn't
though.
qualify.
We beat Burkina Faso at FNB Stadium
Yeah.
altitude.
Yeah.
Although I think Ethiopia is even higher than Johannesburg.
No, there you
That
take them
is-
to Durban. We have
Take
to.
them
You have to
Durban,
play
yeah.
the
We have to
opposites.
think
Yeah, you
of
have to
all those
unsettle
stuff.
them. You have to unsettle them. It's
Yeah.
good thinking. There might be a
Well,
job for you at
tell the
Sapayet,
FA,
Bongo.
tell the FA,
Tell the
because
I
FA.
write it all the time.
That
but
Baxter, Stuart Baxter complained about that. He complained about not having the advantage of altitude.
Yeah. Ah, there we go. You're in good company. Anyway, gents, I was in good company. Thank you so much for all your thoughts and your impressions tonight. It's been a good, robust discussion. And to you on the socials for tuning in at Frun Sports, hashtag Frun Sports. It's been the Monday night edition of a wrap-up of the last week of SA football. We'll do it again in a week's time as we end off the month of January with some fixtures at the weekend. Friday Night Lights is back. Maritzburg United are in action. And then obviously the rest of the teams as, let's see. The likes of Bidvest Wits, man. A lot of games to start catching up now, and the pressure will be on them. But Christopher Bongo believes
I
that
just
it's...
want Sundown to beat Wydad Casablanca, please.
Okay. Well,
Well, they only need a draw to top
No,
the
I
group.
want
Exactly.
them to beat. They haven't beaten them yet. I want them to beat.
Maybe
Wydad
that'll
Casablanca.
happen. Let's see.
They have beaten
They
them
did
here
beat them.
Yeah.
At,
Yeah.
At Lucas Moripe, the 1 year.
Let's see.
That's a
Anyway,
tough team.
gents, thank you so much. I'll catch you in a week's time.
Cheers.
And to you watching, have a good night. Peace.
Oh, super.